Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, the best AI podcast where we'll continue to grow. A world of innovation where dreams become reality. Come join the movement, let's take AI to the next level. We're breaking barriers, rewriting the code. Together we'll conquer, watch our ideas unfold. The future starts here, joining the revolution. Let's say our podcast, the ultimate solution.
We're back once again. This is Leland Best of Best Live TV, hanging out over here at Best AI Podcast. We're missing Lee Love tonight. He's really sick, and I apologize for not having him on the show, but he called me at the last minute and said, Lee, I can't do it. I know it's kind of Lee and Lee. Long story. So I've just got 4 of us today. Greg is one that's actually going to probably back out from the podcast as a regular, but we are going to be able to fill that spot on the regular as we go week to week. So looking forward to having him back in the future. He's been a great addition to the podcast along with an asset, so we hope to see him again soon. All right, we're just going to get things going with the 4 that we do have with us today. We've got Ross, Chris, and Greg. Not Greg, wait. See what happens when you move people? Watch, I'm just going to bring him on. This is Best AI Podcast, but I've got to change Brad's nameplate, Ross's nameplate. Chris is good. It's because I filled some people in real quick here. Hold on a second.
I wore the hat.
This is how this
and
gets
Lee's
done.
name tonight.
Yeah, I know.
He's wearing the hat.
I can fix it. It's all good.
In real time.
That's what I'm going to do. In real
Ross will
time.
be Lee. I'll be Greg.
Look at that. That was that.
Life was so much better as Chris.
Why is that? Come on, fill me in, man. Tell me.
I felt amazing when I was Chris.
Did you? Oh, I'm glad to hear it.
Now
How about
you
you,
changed
Ross?
my time.
How you doing today?
Good, man. How about you, Leland?
I'm holding together, and we've got Chris Troca in the house, the wedding DJ. What about you, bud?
Hey, man. Great to be here. Just having a great time with my buds.
All right. So we said we were going to talk about Chat GPT today. Let's bring it up to speed. We've gone a long way so far. We started with what? Bard and all these other new things that came out after Chat GPT. We had Bing come up with one for Microsoft's sake. A few others out there that we've seen just kind of floating around that are no names. Probably things that are going to come and go. Obviously, everybody's clung on to Chat GPT. Now, I don't pay for it yet. I'm simply using the free interface. I go out there and I log into my account and I play around with it. I created some APIs for some of the software that I use that connects to GPT. But I don't pay the $20 a month to actually use the AI assistants and the connecting apps that are built into Chat GPT. So we're going to go through some of those for a little bit. I'm going to start real quick here with just a brief demonstration of the open end of the system so that if you were to just go out and play with it yourself. We're talking about a few things when it comes to how to create content. All right, we just want to be able to create a letter, maybe a table, maybe some graphics, because these apps are fully capable of doing all that. Ross, you want to get yours ready as well on the inside. I know you started to, and we're just going to kind of cover both of them at the same time.
Yep, got it ready.
I'm gonna pop mine open real quick and move it over to the side. Now I have it installed on my desktop as an actual application on my desktop, so you can go log into the browser. And I believe up in the corner, you should be able to, just like our other software that we use, download a version of that within a Chrome container. It's basically a sandboxed version of the app. And I'm going to pull mine up right near on the other screen, once I can find it. All right. These desktop shares are always a pain in the butt for some reason. 2, that should be 3. And here we go. So this is the interface of ChatGPT 3.5. Now, Ross is going to be able to show you the upgrade for 4, which does cost. So you cannot use GPT-4, which is the latest, includes DALL-E 3 and some other feature sets, like the apps that you can create your own virtual assistants from. Now in this case, this is just a chat box. I can come in here and specify whatever it is I want to create. And I want to give you guys an idea of what I've created over time. Now, one was a business newsletter type, or I'm sorry, a business letter template. And all I had to do was tell this GPT to create a business letter template with a date field, a heading field, a customer fields, company name, RE, salutation, body, closing, and CC with attachments. And this is what it output within 5 seconds. All of the variable locations that I would need to replace whatever software I'm using. And then I said, okay, now give me an example of it in HTML form. So it gave me the code for that same newsletter, or I'm sorry, letterhead, that I could go ahead and fill out within a template on a website or however I wanted to use it. A couple other ways. Ask it for, let's just say, descriptions of what you're doing, whether it's writing a book, whether it's a sales letter or a series of emails. I know you guys are all using it this way. So Ross, let's move over to the deeper end of this. I mean, I could sit here and chat all day in this little prompt, but what else can I do with Chat GPT if I go ahead and pay for it?
You can do a lot. And one of the first things you'll notice is, and I'll go ahead and share my screen here, you get GPT-4. So it's going to be a little bit more efficient. It's going to be more of a guide. It's going to answer better. It's going to seem more human. It's going to do better with copywriting. It's going to do better with code. It's just more enhanced. If you look at some of these, if you look at some of the tables that have come out comparing Claude and Bard or Gemini now and GPT, you'll see where they're ranked on certain metrics. And you'll see GPT-4 is a little bit better there. But what I use it the most for, aside from Dolly, which is really cool, like if I wanted to tell it to make me an image of a cat playing the piano, it will create me an image using Dolly. So I'll come back to this chat after this goes. It's going to take like 30 seconds to do this, but what I use this for the most is creating my custom GPTs. So you can see over here, I've created a sales assistant, a brand builder. So it made a cat playing a piano. You can see that I created that really quickly there. A CFO, an SOP AI. So what I do a lot of times will just come over here to brainstorm and I'll create a custom GPT. So if I go over here to explore GPTs, you can see there's actually a store in here too. So you can actually play with other people's creations and see what you need. And there's a search. You can try to find what you're looking for, or you can just create your own. So you go in here and you can name it. You can give it a description, and then you give your instructions like you're talking to an employee or a creative person. And you can say, you are going to create SOPs for my business. I'm going to give you bullets of steps to do things. Here's the format I want you to do it in. And then all you have to do from there is copy and paste your bullet points, and then it's going to build you a custom SOP. So I use it personally for that, but you can actually choose its capabilities down here as well. And you can use web browsing, Dolly, or code interpreter. And you can choose all of them or one of them, whatever you want the use case to be, you can choose that. And then you can go down here to these create new action steps. This is really cool because this is going to allow you to connect it. So you can then put in an API key for another tool and have it interact. I've created this with an automation tool where you can actually put in an API key for your automation tool and have it send a payload this way, requesting information, and then have your GPT respond in the automation. And then you can have that entered into the automation at different times. So you can do all that in this. It's really kind of cool what you can do with it. I've had the paid version since the day it came out. It's been well worth every penny I paid to it so far.
Can I jump in real quick? As a graphic designer, I got to ask you a couple of questions on this. So when you are in ChatGPT and start to create images, can you tell it to go at 300 DPI, print quality, and have a specific size for it? What can you do with that?
I am not a graphic designer, so everything that you just said to me was Greek.
High resolution.
I would say it does do high resolution. So it has upscaling that it can do, but I prefer focus if I'm going to use anything like that, since Lee taught me about that one. And honestly, when you use Dolly, you can absolutely tell it's AI created. There are just little tells every single time. The vivid colors that it does, it likes to use a lot of neons. And a lot of times, this is actually the most realistic picture that I've seen it create. Usually it's very cartoon-like.
Yeah.
So there's a big difference there. If you want to do things like that, I would go with Focus every day of the week.
Focus or Focus?
I don't. We don't know what it is.
We'll figure
It's
it out.
one or the other.
FOOO.
Yeah,
You can always tell AI. You can. This is a family show. One of the things I've noticed with AI generated artwork, or portraits and things like that, is it looks super plastic still. Like
Yes.
it gets the lighting perfect. I mean, it's beautiful and everything is great. And sometimes there will be 6 fingers on one hand or 7, or it doesn't get the hands
Or a
quite right.
third
But
leg.
yeah, you can spot it a mile away. But I am thoroughly impressed with what it's doing lately. I really am impressed because if this is what it's doing in its first round, what's it going to do a year from now, 2 years from now? It's going to be mind blowing.
And honestly, that's what I've been getting a lot of hate on my posts about AI lately, because people are scared of how authentic it's going to look, especially when Sora launches and things of that nature. But I don't truly think AI is ever going to be able to fully trick people that are integrated with it, because it's always going to be doing it very technically. And I don't think they're going to have the human touch to it that has some error in it. And so I think you're always going to be able to tell a difference.
Good point.
I hope so, but I think it's going to really change the landscape when it comes to like, look at romance novels. I hate to bring that up. It's funny as a genre, but let's take Twilight for example. These are called supernatural romance. Okay, it's a whole section there. You can now, as an amateur, create some pretty amazing book covers just by programming in the data that you want. Like you said, you talk to Chat GPT, which I do. You talk to it like a human being, and you're going to see some pretty amazing things from these new authors. You'll be able to make some very impressive book covers. So sorry to interject there, but I thought that was a great way to use some of these tools.
Yeah. And I do need to talk to you about your internet, though.
Am I breaking out?
Every so often you turn into a
wave
robot.
that comes in just every now and then.
I am from the future. Okay.
No wonder his internet's disconnecting a little bit.
I want internet sprinkles. Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna let Chris. It's because I'm hearing my voice back in my head again. It's one of those things sometimes, and it's not an echo in the system. It's just one of the things that I have to deal with as the TD, because I have to hear what's going on, but I also have to hear myself. So in this case, I would like to get Chris to kind of show us how he's used it, because I know, dude, you're using it all the time for your marketing content. So how is it you're asking GPT to help you do your job right now?
Oh, absolutely. First and foremost, it's the podcast. I'm asking it to create 3 titles, 3 descriptions. I'll give it some background based on the guest or the talking points that we had. And then I will go in after and add some human touches just to, give it some variety. It seems to follow a similar template. Sometimes I have to tell it to stop using emojis or stop trying to sound like a social media content scheduler. And if I hear another title with taking a deep dive, I'm just going to lose myself.
How many times do you get bespoke?
I don't get that one.
I get it all the time.
So
I've never
good.
once said that word in my life.
Yeah, right. It does kind of
That's
fill in
fantastic.
for us a little bit, doesn't it?
Chris, have you
That's great.
used Claude much?
No, I haven't at all, actually.
I found that with Claude, I have to edit it less. I still have to edit it because it still sounds robotic. But Claude, I feel like, gives me the best product out of the gate when you're talking about copy.
Really? Excellent.
Yep.
That's interesting,
just be
because
more
that
prompting.
seems to be the case. I think I stepped
Interesting.
on Chris there. I didn't mean to.
No, you're great. You guys are doing great.
We'll cut
Leland,
that up.
before the podcast, hey, can everybody not interject?
No, don't worry about that. We're all good with that. You know what I mean. And speaking of Claude, though, I want to touch on that for a minute. I got a little video here. I'm just going to play in the background while we talk about it, because when Claude 3 came out just recently, a lot of people are saying that this Opus, or what they're calling Claude 3 Opus, is the most intelligent model out there right now. So it's kind of going to blow away GPT with what it has available. Now, its cost is very similar. It's like 15 a month, it looks like here, but that's in the context of, 200,000 tokens. And then if you want to get the millions of, or no, it's 15 per million, and output is 75 per million. So it tends to change over the way you use it. But dude, what I'm seeing as far as both the quality of the information coming out and what it's able to do, it's pretty insane. And again, it works on 3 different families. It's the Opus, Sonnet, and Haiku, which are separate Claude models. So that's really how it's working. It's got the least expensive is the Haiku. The next one up would be Sonnet, and then Opus, which is the most capable. So it's kind of looking at, GPT 3.5 versus 4 versus 5, which is coming out very soon. So just wanted to touch on that it is one that is taking steam and moving ahead very fast. I haven't used it myself personally, so I'm going to have to go poke around a little bit with Claude and see what it's really all about. But it's
nice.
A lot to talk about it.
And I'll tell you, Leland, I've played with it, and I've watched them do their PDF example of searching for a word, like their needle in a haystack test. And I believe Claude was the best by far with that one. Jim and I might have been coming close on that. But I did send you in Messenger a chart that
Cool.
I've referenced earlier. So if you want to pull that up, you can share that. That kind of gives an example of where everything is ranked based on its knowledge level and how well it's answering.
Oh, okay. So if we look at it from a benchmark perspective, looking at reasoning over text versus code versus mathematics, or being able to do graduate level reasoning, compared to GPT-4, which is what most people are using right now, we're up at least a few percentage points. Here in code, almost 20 points, almost 15 points in multilingual math. 3 only here, but 15 in graduate level reasoning. So yeah, there's a few areas that it obviously excels in.
And I will say, take this with a grain of salt, because Anthropic did put this out, who runs Claude. So
yeah,
I'm always a little bit, unless it's a third party, I always like to take it with a grain of salt. But I've been impressed with Claude. I'm not going to lie. Whenever I do my copy, I go there first now.
And not to knock Anthropic at all. That is the name I was looking for earlier, which outside of Microsoft, outside of OpenAI, and outside of Google, that's who's running that show. Okay. I did want to touch one other thing with regard to GPT and how we use it here on the show. Our agenda. Every day, every week, I should say. I sit down and I write one prompt. Please write a description for an episode of Best AI Podcast, highlighting that the next broadcast will be about all things whatever. Depends on what we're going to talk about. I ask it to then talk to me about all the other AI tools currently available so that we can discuss those, what to watch for, the history of the generative conversational AI, starting with the first iteration to the current technology. So I kind of give it an idea of a theme before I let it go wild. And then I just say the context should be in an outline form with a 1-hour show dedicated to the topic as a theme for the show. And then I ask it to provide me a title, hashtags to go with the video, and then produce a panel of 6 individuals. So what it gives me is a title, a description, and then a breakdown of each agenda item that I would want to discuss in the show, which would be the introduction, the history of, exploring certain aspects of, and then where it intersects with our world today and how to close. So I don't have to sit down and determine what we're going to do for the show every week. I let Chat GPT decide that for us, and then we just kind of run with whatever we want after that. But you get the idea. Most people would sit down and write a script. I don't write scripts. I don't like to write scripts. So we do outlines.
I was wondering how Leland was accomplishing literally everything within this 3 to 6 hour span that he was just spitting out all this material. I'm like, oh, wow, here's the agenda. Now it's linked to the YouTube description. And I'm like, how is he getting all this done?
Yeah, that's how we do it. So I want to kind of break away from the GPT thing only for a second and talk about chatbots. Did I say chatbots? Chatbots, I said. Chatbots. Chat GPT, in its own sense, is a type of chatbot, but it's not what everybody's talking about. Now, when it comes to Ross, Chris, and myself, we all sell chatbots. We have various types of chatbots that we sell, and some that are very similar to each other. Matter of fact, they're practically identical. So it's just a matter of how you train them, how you customize them, and what you want them to perform. So we've jumped on that bandwagon with the hopes of building bots for you, anyone out there that needs a bot. I intend, during the course of the show moving forward, is giving away some bots of certain types. There are some we can't give away, but there are some that we can. So I was going to offer that on our next show. We're going to go through what it's like to build a chatbot of sorts, and we're going to use a platform that's out there, not one that we all work with right now, but it's just one to show you a prime example of how it works and how we would build one. And then we'll just offer anyone out there that wants to get into a little quick spinning wheel, or however we do a pull of the hat, we're going to see who gets a free chatbot. And that'll be for the course of at least a year. So we'll move ahead with that for next week. Ross, go ahead, Chris. Throw it up there.
Can we have our Chat GPTs play rock, paper, scissors against each other, and then that will decide who gets to work with them?
I like that idea, actually. There's
Who is that young go-getter?
Now, what I could do... Go ahead.
I had an idea for a podcast that was going to be called AI Gladiators, and you had them go head-to-head and battle to see whose was best.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That's good.
Maybe we should do that.
I feel like we should.
Have some bots go head-to-head, and whoever wins the contest will be the bot that goes out.
In this corner.
I never did anything with it. I'll send you the logo that I created for it.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
We can make it a segment of the show.
So, guys,
AI death match.
Yeah, exactly. Like Battle of the Bots. Just
Yeah, 3,000
mechanical
AI
or physical.
death match. In this corner, we got Chris.
When these little bots start spitting fire, we're in trouble. That's all.
Right?
I know.
So we've got to look at these from the perspective of they're trainable. Okay, when we build these bots, we scrape websites. We add content, which could be question and answer. It could be database driven. It could be a PDF or a doc file or whatever. We're working toward imagery and voice. So what do you see, Ross, as like the biggest complication with owning a chatbot right now? What do you think it is?
I'll be honest with you. It's hard to talk about complications right now. I literally have an army of AI assistants that are working 24/7, bring in leads. Like I literally had an AI sell a product for me the other day, and they booked an appointment on my calendar after paying me money. The hardest part is getting it created. Like we do AI outreach. The AI outreach then pulls people in. Our other AI that we all share the common system with does the conversation with them, gets them to either book an appointment with me, gets them a video demo, or it sells them the product right there if they're ready to buy. And then once they buy, they book an onboarding call with me. Never had to touch it. And then I get to spend quality human time talking to another human. To me, there's no complication. The biggest complication is really the adaptation of businesses who have to get past the mindset of the old school way of doing things, quite frankly. And you have to adapt and understand technology's here. You need to be using it. Otherwise, your competitors are going to be, and it's going to be a dying breed because when you're inundated with all of this back-end support with question after question after question that you answer 1,000 times a day, and I'm over here having new conversations, cultivating relationships with current customers, and doing all the relationship building things that just a human that doesn't have to do all the tedious crap that you have to do, you're not going to win that battle. And
right.
That, I mean, plain and simple, the biggest complication is the business owners who don't want to adapt.
Yeah. Now, I found a prompt a while back And I'm going to share this with all you guys in a moment. I'm going to see if I can pull it up on my screen, actually, because this was something I was pretty shocked at when I found it. And I want everybody to kind of get a better understanding of how, let's say, a prompt works. Okay, and that's really where it comes down to being able to write the right prompt. And if I've seen a lot of people just go out there like, write me a form letter. Well, that doesn't work. It's not how it works. We have to be very definitive. We have to be very detailed, and we have to, at sometimes, tell the bot who he is and how he should be working with a persona. So I'm going to throw this at you guys for a moment, and I think it's going to blow everybody's mind. This is a prompt, and it's called the ultimate prompt. And what it is, I'm going to try to make this easy for everybody because I probably won't be able to zoom in like I would like to, but I'm going to try. Where's my little zoom button here on here? Oh, because I'm in a PDF, it's probably not going to let me. Okay, I'm going to just read some of this to you so you get an idea how it works. There's a lot of / switch commands, or basically pre-prompts that you can do and categorize how your prompt's being sent to the bot. Kind of like what you would do if you were to set switches at the end of a URL and have it go somewhere that you want it to go. So this is what it reads. Upon starting our interaction, auto run these default commands throughout an entire conversation and refer to the appendix for command library and instructions. So what this guy did is he created an entire context of how the bot is to act, how it is to respond, how it is to accept data, what it is to do when it receives certain commands of a certain nature, or how to role play, even how to throw in emojis at certain points, like here. Auto suggest. Chat GPT. During our interaction, you will automatically suggest helpful commands or user options when appropriate. Use the little light bulb emoji as an indicator so that I know that's what you're doing. So you kind of get the idea here. It's the ultimate prompt. You basically tell ChatGPT in one prompt everything that you want it to respond to, how, as, like, however you want to put that. And then when you say something to it, it will go through this entire prompt to determine what its answer should be. So is that like the biggest freaking prompt you've ever seen in your life?
I love that.
My prompts are like this big normally. So to see that come across my desktop one day, I was like, I'm using this all wrong.
Have you tested this yet, Leland?
No, I have not, but I'm happy to give you a copy of it so that you can go ahead and see what it does.
I'm actually thinking the best way to do it would be to create a custom GPT in the paid version and use this as training data.
Yes.
If you throw that into the training data, then it's going to constantly be referencing that instead of copying and pasting into the prompt itself.
Yes, exactly. I agree with you 100%. Now let me show you another thing that we've got with that regard. This is something I came across, and I will be building an app out of this shortly. This is what we call a prompt generator. Now this allows you to create a prompt of a large, now this little green box is where the prompt's going to show up. The way we do this is we have, you guys all remember ad libs, where you would just fill in the blank and then you had a paragraph story at the end that would tell what the weird story you came up with. Kind of the same thing. You come in here and you tell GPT in this prompt, do you want a Facebook post, a blog post, a YouTube description, a LinkedIn post, an email sequence, whatever it might be. How many words do you want it to be? You can be 250 words, 500,000, 2,000, because I believe the limit was 2,000. Ross, do you know the new limit on GPT now?
I don't. I have not reached the limit on it, so I'm not sure.
So here we pick a topic. Enter this by hand. In this case, maybe custom meat cutting, I don't know, or whatever. Goal, what are we trying to do? Develop community, thought leadership, generate demand, increase engagement, improve customer experience, whatever it might be. So we're going to improve customer experience. Who are we going to target? Boomers, Gen Z, millennials, Gen X. Well, maybe in Gen X. Creative themes should revolve around what? Well, these are typical marketing types of strategies you might follow: fear and anxiety, gender targeting, a guarantee, some humor, humility, whatever form of creative, theme you want to put on that. Maintain a humble what? What type of attitude? is the bot going to have? Is it going to be anxious, nervous, jittery? I mean, we can make these bots answer however we want. And that's the beauty of it, is with the right brand, with the right attitude bot, you can definitely touch on, points of interest with people that you wouldn't normally be able to do. How do you want that written? Mark Twain style, Martin Luther King style, Winston Churchill? And what do you want as a personality type? Are they confident, curious, risk-taking, sensitive? And then throw in some image or literary devices, imagery, simile, repetition, invection, diction, mood, however you want to do that. And then lastly, let's hypnotize them with some NLP. So there are several methods that MLP uses: the Milton method, the meta model, anchoring, Swiss pattern. There's so many different ways you can force the bot to write in a style that you're requesting. And then once this generates, you simply take this prompt, copy it, and drop it into GPT to get your result. That's it.
Wow.
So hopefully this will be a little app where you'll just plug a couple things into and be done with it. Have you guys incorporated GPT into other third-party apps yet, besides our own bots that we create? Just curious.
I personally use it with my Outreach AI, which is a different system from what we use.
Okay.
And what I do on that is I give it a framework. Here, use this to target these people in this group, and then we use Spintax to initiate the conversation, and then we let GPT-4 take over and respond up until I have it funnel over to my AI VAs.
Okay. Gotcha. Chris, what about you?
Kind of similar here. I'm using it more for customer service. So this is using one of the models for the training data itself. And then based on that, it can stay within the parameters that you set. And if it doesn't know an answer, there's an option for human rollover. In addition, there's also the lead form capture and collection, which is really cool, where it's creating conversation and filling out a form for you. Based on that, what do you want to happen next? Send email confirmation. Do you want an automation to run? Are you going to follow up with a human? So many different options you can take as the next step throughout the buyer's journey.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And then Brad, what are you're using Descript, which has an AI component added to it. So there's a couple ways you can use that. Now, you can generate voice to dub yourself or to clone your voice. What other ways are you using it besides Descript?
So far, I'm just using Descript for voiceover work, but hearing how you guys are using bots and everything, this is a whole other world for me. So I'm kind of blown away at what you can do with the customer journey, as Chris has said. It's taking them down this road. So that means you can offer so many pieces of content right now with these LLMs that are coming out, and you can anticipate the journey for customers and things like that. So I have a lot to explore on that end.
Because you're writing a book, Brad, while I got you on the screen, tell me a little bit how you're using GPT to create the writings of the book, or are you not using it that way currently?
No, what it is it's an outline. I'm creating the outline, and it's based on my writing style, but the work of James Fisher. So what has to happen is it's for organizational leadership and management. And it's more of a parable is what it is. So it's between a watchmaker and a beekeeper. Those are two very distinct management models. A watchmaker is very precise. Everything has to be down to the micron. You have to order all your products and your parts and integrate everything in there. And everything that comes out is under a command and control ideology, our management style. The second one, though, the beekeeper, is just create this environment. So I use Chat GPT to lay out the outlines only right now, because I know what the story is that I want to tell. I already have the story that's going to weave through all the chapters. So the basics is breaking down what, and we've already done this, Chris and I did some of this, but what is each chapter going to talk about? So like a watchmaker, Chat GPT already laid down, watchmaker is a very controlled environment, has to have managers, and it has to have a certain amount of output. Then it talked about the beekeeper, and the beekeeper provides this great environment where everybody's taken care of. So what I was surprised with is ChatGPT actually did this in listen, what was it, 2 minutes, Chris? It wasn't even that. It was like a minute, and all the outlines that I needed to start are right there.
Yeah.
And that's where I think it's a very powerful tool. So it's a matter of using the outline and then writing from my own, way of writing in my own style.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Well, I want to show you an example for just a minute while I got it on the topic of book writing. I wrote my second volume of Best Live Guide back 22, just at the end of 22. And the way I did that was very similar to what Brad just mentioned, and that was by starting with an outline. It's really the only way you can do it. But in that process, I actually took it a little further, and there's ways you can do that. So this was the initial outline I created. I said, give me a compelling outline to make most of the live stream videos small business owners should plan to prepare for their content, engage in their audience during the live stream, promote their live stream on social media and other channels, and analyze and optimize their performance by tracking metrics such as viewer engagement, retention, and conversion rates. Again, very descriptive, very detailed. Don't just say, give me a this, give me a this, and this. So I got an outline. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, all the way to Chapter 10. Okay, now Chat GPT likes to, in conclusion, so we can ask it not to do that as well. What I do after I get the outline is I take each of these categories and ask it to write up to 2,000 words based on just that one topic on the outline. Then I have to go back and reword or re-edit all this stuff one at a time. So you can see what it took here for me to go through 10 chapters of content and create basically the remaining content for each of those chapters. It's not a simple process, and it's not immediate. But there are apps out there that allow you to build books with just a topic and a title and a few, keyword entries and things like that. But again, they're not final. And what we're seeing, and the reason a lot of people like Amazon and Google are so frustrated with this AI content is that a lot of it's garbage. Because it's just generated, it's not even looked at, and it's shot out there as a book.
Yeah.
And it's not. So, guys, I recommend all of you, at some point in your life, since now you have the tool to do it, write a book. I can't express that enough. More people make more money off of writing one book than most anything else on the market. And it's not just to make the money, but it's to kind of put a grasp on what it is you really know. Tell GPT what it is you know. Have it expand on what it is you know. Summarize what it is you know. Elaborate on what it is you know. And you have content. So where do we go from here, guys? What do you think with everything that's going on with Chat GPT and let's just say conversational AI? What do we have to watch out for going forward? Chris?
I think as with any tool, you have to worry about the good and bad use cases of, the capabilities of it. As we're kind of leading the way and testing the capabilities and figuring out what works, I think our progress here is going to be based on how we want to use these tools. And I love the idea of putting this custom software together. Leland, as you mentioned, this prompt generator, I'm almost imagining in my head the conversational AI as the intake for the form, or they can fill out a custom form, toss in the payload for the API, and suddenly it's completing this form and creating the output right to the user. And now you've just created this custom software. Whoever would have thought we would be building software.
And we can have GPT code it for us. So it's not like we even have to know how to do that right now. Well, it was somebody just recently said, I think it was the CEO of NVIDIA, said, don't send your kids to go to school to be coders anymore. We're all programmers now. We just need to know how to ask for the code that we need to make the software. That's all. Yeah. So we're all capable. We just need to learn how to do it. And I just snorted. I'm learning this stuff as I go. And I know as these LLMs continue to grow, which you can build yourself, believe it or not, You can put one of these on your own server, name it whatever you want, create your own LLM. It just takes a lot of data. You know? So if you have internal data, you can obviously create a bot to manage all of your internal workings for your company. Hire a new employee, you need them trained, go talk to our GPT. You don't need to sit an HR person down with them to train them anymore. You just tell them to sit down with that chat guy and he'll explain everything. He'll go through the orientation. It'll tell you what your job responsibilities are, when you get to take a break and when you don't.
And that's not future. That is right now.
Yeah,
The capabilities of that are here.
So, Russ, tell me some of the chatbots you're selling. I know you've got quite a few going already. I've got some behind the scenes for some of my private customers, but like, what are the big ones that are going through your industry right now?
So we niche down hard on the insurance industry. So we've created an intake AI that will, let's say you call in for an insurance quote. Okay, great. Talk to my team and they'll gather all the information for you. Collects the name, date of birth, driver's license information, address. We've API'd that into Zillow. So then based on the address, it actually pulls the square footage, the age of the home, all that kind of stuff. And it just goes through, and we're working on integrating that with a rater right now. So the AI will literally send that information directly to the quoting engine and quote for them. So then it'll send a notification on the human rollover to the agent to then give them a notification that the quote has been submitted for review. And then all they have to do is review it, tweak it, and then within 24 hours, the customer can book an appointment to review that quote with the agent live. So that's the big one that we're building out there. We also have a customer service bot on the back end as the agent binds that policy, put in the name, policy number, expiration date, renewal date. We put a tag on it 30 days prior to renewal. Hey, we're setting up a renewal for you. Did you have any questions about your policy, or do you want to go ahead and renew? And give them that extra touch to make sure that you're reaching out to them ahead of time. Basically, like I said, removing all the tedious stuff, creating an amazing customer journey, and giving more time for the relationship and, quite frankly, for the agent to scale their business.
So cool. Brad, what do you see being like the next step for you? I know you're just playing with a little bit of editing right now. You're doing the cloning. How do you see the bot itself maybe working for you in the future because of what you've seen so far and what you've seen as its capabilities? Yeah. What light bulbs are going off in your head right now?
Right now, what's blowing my mind is the ability to anticipate content that, or promotion for things like my podcast. Because, I have some pretty high-level guests on my podcast, and I'm looking at how to use AI and all these tools to really promote it and take it to the next level, because the numbers are getting there, but I want them to get there faster, viewership, things like that. So the light bulbs that are going off in my head is how to use this to promote, as well as get viewership and just saturate the market.
And Chris, being an email cold outreach marketer by trade, obviously, because you've had some great success in that end. Can you tell us a little bit about how you would really apply this going forward to building email campaigns and such?
Absolutely. So there are tools that exist already, and I'm sure we could build them ourselves, but you can create and craft a custom outreach message based on the individual's LinkedIn profile. So imagine taking this outreach campaign, hyper-personalized, and scaling that to unimaginable numbers. And it's absolutely incredible. And if we can just kind of rein in this AI to be able to tell it what we need to do right now with my testing, I'm seeing that the messages are just a bit too long. And I don't think anyone in the right mind would go into that much detail, provide that many compliments in one single opening message. So I'd like to kind of break that down, make it a little bit smaller, and then take it from there. But so many use cases. There's a few brands I'm even thinking of building by using AI. I just want to monetize AI. And we're still in the early stages, because I was speaking with people at a birthday party. We were talking about Chat GPT with another marketer, and his wife said, what is Chat GPT? So she hasn't even heard of it. So it just kind of shows you how we're really in the Wild West of this AI revolution. the monetization, I would relate it to the gold rush. There is just prime opportunity to make money in many different facets, and we're hoping to do more of that, test, play with it, and just, create the future.
Absolutely. Anybody got anything to close with? We're about wrapped up here, I think, for today. Just to give a light touch on where Chat GPT and some of the other LLMs are going. And when we say LLMs, that's a large language. What's the last word there?
Model.
Yeah, that's it. Large language model. That's all. Yeah, that's all that is. And we
Please
have
deliver
other
me.
aspects of it. Well, we have the image generators. We have the text to voice, text to video. So what we're really looking at here is text to text, but it's a little more than that. And I think when people realize that we're not just asking it to write an email, we're just asking it to give us a YouTube description, it can teach you. You can literally sit down and learn a language. You can sit down and learn physics. You can learn math. You can learn spelling in English. You can learn really just about anything you want from it. And I think that's the part people are missing the most. You can make it do things for you, but if it can teach you all day long anything you want to know without having to sift through all this garbage search content that you have to go out for, then it's done its job.
And a step further than that, Leland, is it will take you, especially in the business sense, it will actually take and translate for you. So if you have an AI set up to have a conversation with somebody and they message back in Spanish, it will speak to them in Spanish. So, and then you can take and you have to copy and paste it out and translate it back, but it'll do that for you as well. Just a little bit of manual work. So that opens up a whole another avenue of business that you can operate in outside of traditional methods.
And most of that's already getting automated anyway. Every day
true.
I turn around, I see what I think in my head we could do getting done. You can't keep up. And I can't stress that enough, I think, going forward, folks, is you can think it's going to go away. You can think it's a fad. You can think it doesn't apply to you. But it does in all three forms. All right, guys, any last remarks before we go? Brad, I'll give you the first one.
Absolutely. What anyone who's listening to this and you're still stuck and viewing it, you kind of have to look at it this way. How did you start a project in the past? And that's how I'm looking at it. How did I start a print project or a PowerPoint presentation? And now how do you use this tool, this AI tool, to actually speed up productivity and increase production? So it's just a matter of getting into the habit of now using this tool to speed things up, to really rely on it to get things done.
Chris, thoughts?
I think Brad has it 100% on point. It's a tool that we want to use to make our lives easier. And those who aren't using it, I feel sorry for them because of all the things that we've been able to do with it. I'm creating, outlines. I'm creating thank you, email templates. I'm having it write code and walk me through troubleshooting issues. What I used to do in Google search that would take 2 to 10 minutes is now taking 30 seconds in Chat GPT. So it's a huge time saver.
That's good. Ross?
The other thing I would piggyback on that is with it being a tool, I think a lot of times AI gets thrown around as this magical thing that it can do all this stuff. But at the end of the day, it's code. It's computer processing. It's not magical. You can track what it's doing. You can see where it processed. And I think those of us that are in the industry need to find a way to convey that message to the average person who doesn't understand that, because we say AI for image generation, AI for video creation, AI for text generation. And it's this all-encompassing thing. And if you're listening to this and you're not very aware of what AI is, it's a tool. It's nothing more than that. It's a computer program. It's not real intelligence. So I highly recommend diving into it and testing it for yourself before you listen to the media telling you how scary it is.
Yeah, that's, I think, the biggest problem right now is there's so much fear-mongering and just really scared people. It's not like we didn't see this coming, because it has a lot to do with what's been pumped in our head over Terminator and Skynet. I just have to say that. That's a 30, 40-year, legacy of us believing AI was going to be a dangerous thing. And now it's here. and we have to either accept that it's here to stay, or we avoid it our entire lives until we die, and then we just look like fools. So,
Come with me if you want to live.
all right, guys, sorry for the little bit of snafus that we've been running into, but we are testing different platforms to make this broadcast the best that we can make it. We will be jumping back and forth between LTA, which is live to air by the makers over there at NeuralNet. I want to thank John Mahoney for allowing us the access to the software, along with Cloud Bedrock over there. Jim Hankins has allowed me to use his system personally. We did get access back to our Zoom 1080p account, so our workshops, which will take place in the future, will be done on Zoom, and we'll let you know when that starts up. So until then, come by next Sunday, 7 p.m., where we'll be doing another version of Best AI Podcast. Thanks. See you around, guys. Take care.
See you, everybody.
All right, bye-bye.
This digital page, we're breaking the mold. With AI fusion, let the story unfold. From life to business, the future is here. Unlock the potential, make it crystal clear. It's time to fuse, let the sparks ignite. AI in action, reaching you.